What's going on, everybody? Great morning. It's Taco Tuesday. So happy to be here with you all. We got audio this morning. Let's get a like for that. Let's get going here this morning. It's going to be a fantastic session. A lot to talk about here across the markets. A strong FX focus session we got going on this morning today. And we're going to take a look and make sure that we have that clarity that keeps us on the right side of the market. We're going to make sure we have that fortitude to keep that skill of a trader, being risk adverse, making sure that we are patient, making sure we are the most aggressive when we attack, but understanding that we only attack when our prey is waiting there. Let's take a look all across the markets. We're going to start off with Bitcoin really quick. Right now, traders are wondering, are we forming a wedge pattern? You can see this triangle over here. We have that trend line over there, and it looks very clearly like this pattern is forming. And at the same time, and both just as correct, you could see this downward sloping channel forming. You remember over here, this is when we said, all right, you could look over here to pick up some Bitcoin. It's the same play right now. Whether we're looking at a wedge pattern or a downward sloping channel, it's kind of irrelevant. What is most relevant is this trend line we have over here. It's the same resistance for both patterns. It's what we need to focus on. It's what we are focusing on. And it's a break above here that will send Bitcoin for its next leg up, looking to take out the all-time high and then into straight price discovery. Now, over here, remember yesterday morning in the session, everyone was a little euphoric as we were coming into that resistance. And we just got on and we were like, listen, we're coming up into resistance right now. And there we go. We backed off that resistance. Right now, you want to have that mindset, that mind frame, that awareness, that situational awareness. If Bitcoin does back off over into that area, that might be a good place to lean in buy. You could see that channel would be then really forming. That's the next place, if you see this low taken out, that you want to be ready, stepping in there. And I might just put out a tweet if it occurs on the weekend. Doesn't look like it will. We're ahead of time here. But if it's only Tuesday, but if it did, I would let everyone know, listen, now is the time to be buying the dip. And a lot of people will tell me that that's completely reckless and that's all well and fine. I'm just letting you know ahead of time, of what we're looking at, what we're watching. What about right now? What happens if we are able to, after putting in this little bit of a new swing high, what happens if we put in a higher low? Well, that would be rightfully bullish, right? You can see that we might be off that little support. You're getting down to smaller time frames right now. You don't really need to track this type of movement, or at least I don't, because then all of a sudden you get caught up in that price, whiplash fluctuations and all that. That's why I hang out on higher time frames. But here's what's happening, and if we are able to resume off this, that would be entirely bullish. That might take us back into that resistance, and maybe that would be the big break. Maybe it will be. I don't know, but soon enough, it is coming. So Bitcoin, in about 45 seconds or maybe 2 minutes, we should have the utmost clarity. And that's just what we do here. We just look at the markets. We analyze them. We look at the pretty colors on the charts, and we are able to see what's going. Now, there are some people who say, oh, it's not possible. You can't look at a chart and tell where price is going. I mean, my own family included tell me this. All right, whatever. Here we are. Let's keep going. So, Bitcoin looks good. Everyone should have a lot of clarity on Bitcoin. Let's look at the dollar. The DXY is having a volatile day today. It was up over Asia and then strongly rejected. I want to first just note that we are in a trading range sideways, and we've been on top of that for a few weeks now. We saw that happening pretty early. We made note of it. If you look at Brad's dollar chart, the DXY chart that everyone's familiar with, I'm going to zoom in over here and you can see this beautiful. TA is so beautiful. TA is so beautiful. But you could see that touch this morning into that line of resistance, into that horizontal resistance, now being rejected off of that on the 8-hour, making lower lows. Yeah, making lower lows right there. But still sideways. Interesting and beautiful. Thanks, Brad, for sending that over our way. What's going on? I can't wait. We have about 22 minutes to the U.S. Equity market opening. We'll check in for fun. What's going on over here with GameStop? Heath released a recent video over here talking about GME and options. If you haven't seen that video yet, if you're not subscribed to Trade Talk, make sure that you go ahead and do that. Great stuff. Heath providing great information to the community on a daily basis. Over here, by the way, on Wall Street Bets, they had a response, an open letter to CNBC. Basically, what they're saying is it's absolutely ridiculous that you have this contempt for retail investors, which is your audience, right? And then you have on your show these guests of all these hedge funds who are able to get on that platform, reach millions of viewers, and try to get them to invest into whatever investment they're in. Listen, right or wrong, Wall Street Bets, if you ever followed that forum on Reddit, they take some outlandish risks sometimes, but retail traders are not getting bailed out. Citadel had to bail out Melvin Capital $2.75 billion at 0.72 also, because these funds, they're invested in Melvin Capital and they couldn't let it blow up. So they had to go ahead and bail themselves out. Retail doesn't get that, right? What does retail get? A $600 check from the government after they debase the currency? No, retail doesn't get that, but retail has been on the right side of trades all across 2020, while across the board, all that Wall Street like shenanigans has been getting wrecked. All right, and whether I don't even the old guard, even that old guard, I don't want to get into who they are. You're all familiar with them. They were on the wrong side of the market for a long time, and it was retail who was on the right side. You got to give a lot of respect over there to the collective knowledge we talk about here on Conquering the Markets, how iron sharpens iron, and continuously all of our collective knowledge continues to increase, and the way that we work together as a team continues to be at a higher and higher level. Same thing with retail investors overall, right? The internet is a beautiful thing, leveling the playing field. DXY, what else do we want to talk about, right? Do we want to take a look at what's going on the equity markets? Let me briefly touch base. I continue to watch this beautiful tight shoot, this tight channel that continues to play out over here, right? That's not interesting. What will be interesting if we have a blow off top at any point, that will become interesting. We'll be marking that. I'll be looking for a correction. You all know that I'm not the type of trader, the type of investor who's looking for corrections, especially on the equity markets, right? There's been a few times during the course of the past 14 months where I've pointed them out. And right here, I don't think it's coming I don't know that it's coming anytime soon, but I'm waiting and watching, and when it does, we will be ready. That's when we'll act. That's when equities might be a little bit more exciting. We'll see at that point. Right now, they're not. What about the Nasdaq? Let's check it in. Nasdaq getting above that line over here. That's interesting. That's super interesting, right? Getting above that trend line over here, coming in for a Conquering the Markets all day long entry over here, coming off that support, taking out some stops, now resuming upwards. Is that interesting for the aggressive trader? Yeah. If you're aggressive, if you're focused on the E-minis right here this morning, this is something that probably has your attention over here. And it looks beautiful. It looks good. Are you going to get in for that little bit of a possible blow off top that could come in here? I hope so. If we start seeing any type of price action on the Nasdaq right here, because the S&P is lagging, that would suggest that we're having any type of blow off top. I'll let you know. I don't see anything like that happening at the moment. What could cause that, by the way? Do you remember the day, everyone remember the day that President Biden floated the $1 trillion stimulus plan? Do you remember that day, that afternoon, I put out a video and I said, I think that was a mistake. I think that the market now has expectations that are not going to be able to be met. We're seeing reports now that package looks like, or at least some investment banksters. I think it was JP Morgan saying they think that's going to look like $900 billion. How is the market going to react to that? We're going to find out. Nevertheless, the signal that we are paying attention to, that I'm paying attention to, remains that we have $315 billion of QE purchases taking place across the G10 monthly in 2021. The Federal Reserve alone expanding their balance sheet by another $1.4 trillion. The ECB is almost on par with that. That's an enormous amount of liquidity. It's got to go somewhere. It's got to go into assets. Speaking of which, just a quick view of this. This is the housing market over here. This in blue. This is the home prices continue to rise and inventory continues to decline. Now, this chart is a little bit misleading at first glance. As you can see right now, price at their highs of that trough, and over here the supply at the low. Every year around January, that happens over here. You can see all these spike downs that occurs right around January. Not many people are moving at this time of year. All right, after around January through the spring, not many people are moving. That's going to look a little bit different, I believe, as we get into the spring. We'll continue to watch it and track it. Nevertheless, this is something worth noting over here. And what is this? This is a result of what? Of easy monetary policy. That's all it is. All right. So what else? Look over here. You see Ethereum down 10% this morning, 9% this morning. It's over a 7-day. Excuse me. Ethereum down 10% today over the last 24 hours. All right. What else do we have? Polkadot down 10%. Is this buying opportunity? Are things on sale, or are we just looking for a bigger correction? Let's take a look at that. Chainlink down 10% this morning. Also, just trying to get a little bit of a feel over here. All right, let's take a look at the charts over there. Let's briefly look over on Ethereum and see what's going on over here. Let me delete that, make my chart look a little bit pretty. Ethereum has gone on, and this is against the dollar, to print new all-time highs, backed off, again, new all-time highs. What are we seeing? We're seeing some beautiful consolidation. Some beautiful consolidation here on Ethereum. Remember, it was just since the new year that Ethereum flew 100% in a matter of days, and since then has been a little bit volatile as it came into that new all-time highs and now consolidating. Is there any setup that you could see right now? Do you see us pulled back into this little area of support over here right now? I see it, right? Is that something that a resumption off there you might be interested in getting into a position? What about Ethereum, Bitcoin? Are the crosses more attractive? Not yet. You could see this. Let me remove this. The reason this is here, by the way, is just to show you a pullback into that support over here. That would just be a 25% pullback. All right. Do not get over here as you see. Do not chase the momentum. It's tricky. All right. It's really tricky because at this point in the cycle, and we just had a pullback across other Bitcoin, Ethereum, we could see the next leg up. We know when the next leg up is occurring as Bitcoin breaks that trend line. This is why that trend line's here. Once we start breaking above, then you could have a little, dare I say it, FOMO, making sure you want to be positioned correctly. Right now, though, we don't know if we're going to see a bigger pullback or not. And we could see a bigger pullback. Right now, this is very orderly over here. This is very attractive into the support. If we are able to break back above it, very attractive. But be aware. Make sure that if you're taking a trade over here, getting into that trade, you know where your stop loss is. You're managing your risk because you could see easily a dump down back into that bigger line of support. It would only be a 25% pullback. I saw over here it was Theta, the only thing really outperforming this morning. You could see over here, by the way, look at that trend line. Retest, another retest. Notice over here, that's still super healthy. The only reason I'm making note of it because it's happening right now. I've often talked about sometimes you get that second retest down much lower. Still very healthy. Nothing of actionable over here. Let's take a little bit a look at FX. I think what I'm seeing over here across altcoins, though, just so everyone is clear. Well, first of all, Bitcoin looks super healthy, consolidating as it is after that pullback, waiting and having that patience to wait. Unless we pull back further, then you have another opportunity to accumulate. If we take out that low coming back in over there. Ethereum over here, if this holds and resumes off, super bullish, right? Ethereum, Bitcoin, again, into that support over here, break of that trend line. That could send the next leg up over here. Watch your risk. Be careful. Let me check Bitcoin. Very similar to what we just looked at on Ethereum, Bitcoin. All right. Wait and watch. Wait and watch. But now's the time to be stalking. That's what I was trying to get at. As you're seeing Ethereum come off, as you're seeing these altcoins come off, that's when you want to start stalking. We talked about that recently over here when DOT had exploded over the weekend. And as it was pulled back and as everyone was attracted to Ethereum, I said, wait, you should be focusing back over here. And I talked about also on Chainlink and Cardano that day. That's where you wanted to have your focus back. That's what's happening right now as alts pull back. I want to get into FX, but before I get into FX, I want to look at some pretty Bitcoin charts with you just to give us a feel for where we are, and then I will get into a strong FX session because there's a lot going on. By the way, 277 likes. Great to see you all here this morning. Super happy to be here with you. What is happening here is very special, and I'm very, very, very grateful for it. Even more so those involved in conquering the markets, those involved in the course, in our community there. It's just absolutely beautiful, and I'm grateful for all of it. So what else are we looking at? Nice job, moderators, right? No, phenomenal job, moderators. Have just really helped us take this to the next level because the spammers are man, they're relentless. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for just helping this community thrive. Really grateful for each and every one of you. Good morning. Great morning to you. All right, what else is going on Bitcoin? I just want to take a look at this pretty chart over here, and I'm focused over here, from here to here, from here to here. All right, I want to show you why, because we're right here right now. This is why right here, right? This is, right now, we're only 50 days. We're only 50 days past over here. Wait, what's going on? That doesn't make any sense to me. This is only 50 days above the 2017 high. Now it does. Over here, it's only 50 days since Bitcoin has made new all-time highs. Look back on past cycles. These cycles tend to run approximately 290 days. 290 days past that all-time high. We're just getting started over here. Alt season is just beginning, right on time. I talked about yesterday how beautiful it is to see right now, to see first Ethereum leading. This is something that I talked about last year happening at this point, and now that it's happening, it's just super bullish for Bitcoin, and now you're starting to see the rest of the alts over here make their jump, right? Very beautiful. You're so early right now, even though people look at Bitcoin and they're like, oh, wait a second, it's trading at $30,000. I missed it. You're so early. This is just getting started over here. 2021 is going to be explosive. Over here, you could see this chart over here. I just like looking at these pretty charts, giving us that just beautiful perspective of where we are right now in this cycle. And you can see diminishing returns. Wait, that's not diminishing returns. No. If we're going to have see a cycle that's greater than last cycle, which was a 17x, and perhaps lower than a 39x, that's insane amount of movement left here on Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, at the top of this cycle, when everyone's going to be saying this is a new paradigm, when everyone's going to be saying Bitcoin's going to become the reserve currency, when everyone's going to be saying Bitcoin's going to $1 million, when everyone, I'm going to exit. I'm going to exit. Everyone's going to hate me. I'm going to receive so much negative comments. Jordan, you have no idea what you're doing. Following this guy's going to get you wrecked. Blah, 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 blah. I'm letting you know right now, I'm going to exit at the top. Just so everyone's prepared over here. By the way, I just want to focus in on over here. Janet Yellen. We were talking about Janet Yellen recently yesterday, having some fun with Janet. There'll never be another crisis in my lifetime, Yellen. That aged well. We all knew she was lying when she said it. Janet Yellen, the Federal Reserve should just buy stocks. Janet Yellen, now an insider inside US.gov, working directly with the international bankers inside the Federal Reserve. Over here, we have Plan B. Plan B, the quant putting out, look, between going off past cycles, and we do go off past cycles. He says over here, April and September, we could see between that period over there about $100,000 Bitcoin. Why that's interesting and why I want to show that with you is because of this. It's not so much when we see $100,000 Bitcoin, but I believe whatever we see around March, April, that could be the low of the next cycle. March and April could be the low of the next cycle. 15 months to the next halving is generally the low of the cycle, the bear market cycle. And then if you jump back over here, that's going to take us to March and April of this year. That is just math, block after block after block. So it's going to be really exciting around that time, the middle of March, whatever the Bitcoin price is, we're going to be like, you know what? This is probably the low of the bear market. So Bitcoin is cheap up until then, in my opinion. Really, really cheap. So anyway, just having some fun. Happy to be here with you. Gold? Yeah, I'm going to get into FX, right? Gold and silver right now. What are they doing? Let's check out with them. Let's come over to the 3-day just to give that beautiful. This is the buy bubble. Come back down into that retest of that support. That looks like a good place to accumulate, right? Getting above this trend line outside of this beautiful downward sloping channel, this beautiful bull flag in this really strong market. That's when it's time to get involved in gold. That's when gold is making its next leg up, going to take out the new all-time highs, right? And what about in silver? Silver, what about Silvergate? What's that going to do this morning? Equity markets open in six minutes. Look at that beautiful. That's the trend line. Come down to over here. That's that trend line break. That's when you see the new next leg up. But what about what's going on in silver? $26. Is that still the line? The resistance when we get above, we're looking to attack. I just don't see it right now. You know, It doesn't look that attractive. I still stand by this year is going to be explosive for silver in a big, big way. But right now it's just not what we're attracted to, because it's almost like you got to like poke it with a stick to get it to do something. Once it wakes up, once it gets above 26, maybe we'll be watching it. But right now, that's not where I'm focused. And then we have over here our Bitcoin first, gold cross over here. And look at this. Look at this back up into the resistance. Beautiful time over here. Not something that I'm trading, something I'm just tracking and watching. But over here, you could see, I don't know if this is tradable anywhere, by the way. If it were, I think this is probably one of the safest trades you could take during this phase over here of Bitcoin's bull market. But as you come back into that top of this wedge over here, into that resistance, a rejection off is when we're going to see eventually this trend line broken out. And once that trend line's broken out, you're going to see gold dump versus Bitcoin in a really, really big way. It's coming. I'm just letting you know before it happens. Let's take a look at what's going on here in FX this morning. I have only a few pairs flagged over here. Two of them is the Australian dollar, US dollar, and the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. We're going to look at them. First, let me start off with the US dollar, Japanese yen over here. And you can see that we just continue to be in no man's land. No man's land over here between that bottom of that channel support and over here that resistance. And pretty quickly we established we were in no man's land, and that's when we backed off. Pretty quickly we established we were in no man's land. That's where we backed off. We remain so. Not attractive. We'll just keep watching. Same thing with the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. As the US dollar, DXY, continues to consolidate and trade sideways, so is this. Is that possibly a head and shoulders developing? A reverse head and shoulders? I don't know. I don't really look for them. But that resistance line would be the neckline, that straight horizontal line over there. What about the US dollar, Canadian dollar? This is interesting this morning. You can see over here, everyone has been tracking this. This is these important trend lines. This set off the move that we took with the dollar way back in last March, February of 2020. This was one of the best trades all year. There were a lot of good trades. US dollar, Canadian dollar on the breakout of that trend line, the retest and resumption off was one of the best. There were many. They were ample. This was the dollar milkshake taking effect. This part of the trade I did not expect. I should have, but I didn't. You know what? After you see a trade raise so quickly, so drastically, I'm human. Anyway, over here, we're trading back below this trend line over here right now. Look what happened. We just had a test of that horizontal resistance, resuming off during London below that trend line. That's a beautiful conquering the markets all day long signal. I didn't take it, but it's beautiful, and I wish I did. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. What's going on over here after seeing that descending triangle? The breakout over here, consolidation, now looking to make a leg up. This actually becomes still very active here for an entry right now that we're above that resistance over here and making a leg up after that consolidation. Any retest back into that area and resumption off, that gives a buy signal on New Zealand dollar, US dollar. So I'm keeping that green lit over here. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. This was the place to attack, not up here. This was the place to attack off of that. This was resistance, broken, held as support. Nothing to do or see. I'm going to move on over there. Let me take a look at the pound US dollar, right? I continue to track the pound. I see the pound continues to appreciate. So interesting that we're seeing as the dollar comes off, it's the commodity currencies. It's the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar that are the strongest against it. Then we see the pound, and after that, the euro is still weak and lacking. This is the pound US dollar coming into this important resistance after this breakout. This is a big multi-year trendline break like that. I have the fundamental in play. We had some type of deal as far as the Brexit over here. And now we're coming into that first resistance after breaking that trend line, right? This is very, very beautiful to watch, to see. Two things could happen over here, right? Break above. This opens up the upside and clean. If we see a pullback over here at that point, this is also where we get to attack. As long as we're above this trend line over here, even if we come all the way back to test it again or into that support, if we start seeing a little bit of dollar strength, that would be a place to look, to lean into, and to buy. Pound New Zealand dollar. We see the New Zealand dollar strong today. You see on both the pound Australian dollar and pound New Zealand dollar, I've been watching them being pulled back into an area of resistance, but uncertain what was going to happen. Are we going to see the pound continue to appreciate right now, or are we going to see the resumption off of by the New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar? And I didn't know. I don't know what was going to happen, and if I don't know, that's not a wave I want to take, right? I want to go where I think this looks clear to me, and I really believe I understand what's going to happen. Now, if I'm wrong, I just take my stop and get out. There's no problem. Any which way, over here, you do see a rejection of that resistance. Look at that strong, strong resistance over there. Price being rejected. Let me come off down to the 8-hour over here. And what else is happening? Well, I do see that we're in no man's land, right? So that's not interesting. Anyway, the reason I do this, by doing this every day, by continuing to paint a picture, all of a sudden, it's like doing a giant jigsaw puzzle. And sometimes you just have like one piece in the corner put together and it seems to be meaningless, but later on, all of a sudden, as the picture becomes clearer and clearer, it all makes sense and it all works together. So even if I look at a chart like this right here right now, the pound New Zealand dollar, and at the end of looking at it, I'm back to where I started and I'm like, I don't know anything. Well, that's clarity for me. That's clarity for me. A lot of people are looking for what? That high time preference stuff. Oh, GameStop's open. Well, let me jump into GameStop over here, and I'm just gonna market buy over here, right? Or I'm gonna sell some options over here. You're gonna get wrecked. That's not how you invest. That's not how you trade. You're gonna get wrecked. There are people way smarter than you who have done way more research and are prepared for this play right now, and have way more friends who are doing their best to manipulate this in their favor than you. Okay? That's not how you do it. You just don't jump into something that you think that you have the possibility of making money. You have to be methodical. You have to work hard. You have to put in the work. You have to understand the flow of the market. You have to understand how to manage your risk, and you have to understand how to manage your trade. Anyway, I digress. What do we got going on in here today? How many people do we have with us? We got 1,300 people. I didn't put out a video yesterday afternoon, by the way. And I said this week that would just be like, if there's something going on, I will put it out there. But I'm not going to put out a video just to put out a video. Markets were a little flat yesterday. Nothing was happening. I didn't put out a video. If there's anything going on this afternoon, I'll be happy to do it. But we do have 500 likes for 1,400 people, which is a lot. So thank you for that. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for supporting my work. Definitely appreciate it. So, whales are still buying Bitcoin. Just saying. It hasn't even gotten started. Hasn't even gotten started. We're 50 days past the all-time high of the last cycle. We got what? Another 240 days of this beautiful run that's ahead of us. Haven't even gotten started yet over here. So, what else? Where are we at? Again, just a quick reminder. Don't get mad at me when I tell you I'm exiting Bitcoin, because it's going to be against the herd, and I'm always against the herd. Pound Japanese yen, what's going on over here? Right? This is coming into an important level of resistance over here. I'm watching this because of what I've been putting together with you, what's going on in the pound. And I'm watching, as I zoom out over here, that huge trend line. Is price going to be attracted to this trend line in 2021 over here, into that horizontal resistance? And will we get a breakout? Right? Are we going to see that pound appreciation this year? I think so. What happens after the UK gets out of lockdowns? Right? Is that going to help the economy? Listen, on a technical, on a TA standpoint, I'm watching that resistance over here. We get above it. That's why I have it blue. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. We could be rejected here, but if we're not and we get above it, that's going to open up a place where I'm going to start taking some pokes out of it and see if I could get a nice entry on that. I'm going to also look at the pound Australian dollar, because I looked at the pound New Zealand dollar with you, and at the end of looking at the pound New Zealand dollar, I was like, I just don't know. I had this blue box over here of resistance over here as we came back up into that, and was saying, I wonder if this is going to be a time to take a short over here into that strong resistance. I'm seeing right now the commodity currency strong today, and basically the pound Australian dollar is unchanged. Pound is putting up a fight. I really don't want to attack strength versus strength. I really prefer strength versus weakness. Speaking of which, Euro New Zealand dollar, here you have New Zealand dollar strong, right? And we know the Euro's been weaker. This is where you want to attack. You always want to go strength versus weakness. Someone this morning was mentioning that they got into this trade over here. They took the entry. They took this entry off the rejection of that resistance, conquering the markets all day long as price made that lower low, right? And then over here, after we resumed off again, they moved their stop loss to break even, beautifully managing their trade. Now that you're over here, do you move your stop loss again? So if your stop loss, if you took this original trade right over here into the resistance, super strong downtrend, resumption off the resistance, entry, right? Price came in, blah, 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 and then resumed off. And now you move your stop loss at break even. Do you move your stop loss again right now? All right, let's take a look at this. Let me come back to the 3-day time frame with you. Let me zoom out a little bit to give you that deeper perspective because I want to see what's the next support that we're targeting. And over here, this is where my eye was first drawn, that bit of resistance. Follow the mouse over, touch, touch, touch. You know, over here, it went down a little. And then again, touch over it. That's the support that we're targeting right now. Let's draw that in over there so that people could see what's the next level to be looking at. Let's go ahead and move that green. You're looking to push trades. So this, by the way, is a good trade for a lot of people, right? Why is it a good trade? Because they knew what they were doing. Having control is really important. You want to understand, you want to, like, when people say that you need a plan, like, no, actually, you really need a well thought out, developed trading strategy, right? So when you have one and you're following it and things become like clear because you understand what you're doing and why, that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. But this is just the beginning. It's not just getting into a trade that falls into profit. It's learning how to push that trade. It's because you don't make money cutting your winners short. You really have to learn how to manage your trades and to get into a good trade right now. And this is a good trade. You have your stop loss at break even. You have a free trade, and you're looking to push further down into that next area of support, and then take a piece off, a decent sized piece off of that position, letting the rest run. Because maybe even we push down further, breaking down below that support over here, New Zealand dollar could really begin running versus the euro, and that's what you're looking for. That's what you're looking for. So I think right now, well managed, great entry, great management and getting your stop loss to break even at the right time as you came into that last bit of first area of support. But you never want to take profit into that first support. And if you're wondering if you move your stop loss further to lock in more profits right now, you're just too quick. You know, there's possibility that this could retrace and you could get stopped out at break even and you gave up a small profit. But it is small profit right now. If you're taking a small piece off, 10-15%, that's fine. You could definitely always do that into that area when you move your stop loss to break even. But you want to be pushing the majority of the trade. I was just catching up on a comment. Anyway, let it ride. There you go, Anthony. There you go. I see it. Euro, Japanese yen. We're seeing that euro weakness across the board, but we're seeing also at the same time Japanese yen weakness. If you're looking to attack the Japanese yen, are you doing it versus the pound Japanese yen, which you just pointed out, more of a position trade that could be developing? Or what's strong, the commodity currencies, not the euro, right? Euro into a little bit of local resistance over there. It's just fuzzy. There's nothing going on over here. Step aside. Let's take a look at the euro British pound over here, which remains very interesting. Deeper dive over here. That line of last support, we're coming in to test it again right now. You can see that we bounced off it into that resistance again, being rejected. This looks weak. This looks weak over here. This is something I wish I'd been tracking yesterday. I wasn't. What could I do now? All right, the reason I'm focusing in on this is because I'm interested, right? I'm absolutely interested below this line of support over here. How could I get myself into a trade? What would I be waiting or watching for? What would I be waiting and watching for right now, right? So generally, I like to distinguish the direction I'm looking to trade, right? That became, while we were in this bull flag over here, that could have went either way. And people could have been buying off that support for sure, right? But once we broke this line of hope, it was clear for me I'm looking to the downside. We had a bit of a retrace up into that resistance and are now just kind of, consolidating, going nowhere. If we start breaking down below this resistance again, generally, probably you would see a move into that last local support. And then if we get a retest and a resumption off, that will be a golden signal for me. That's something that that's attractive to me. I'm going to move this from red to green and watch what happens over the next 24, 48 hours and see if that trade continues to develop. But notice the most important piece of all of that. I'm not in any rush. And most people who are in a rush to lose money, they just like pick an instrument that they want to trade and they take a trade on it. Like maybe they look at this morning and they're like, oh, Theta is up today. Well, Theta is up today. I don't know what we're looking at. Let me come back to TradingView over here. Theta's up 6% today, or they saw it up 10% this morning, and they're like, oh yeah, I have to buy that. That's not how you do this. That's not how it's a game, and that's not how you play this game. All right. What else are we looking at over here? Let's continue through FX over here. So this question comes up a lot, right? What do you think about Bitcoin miner stocks? It comes up a lot. There's a lot of retail interest in it. Well, I don't know. Is it better than Bitcoin? You know, why would you want to invest in that over GBTC? Do you understand the company? Do you understand their are they producing chips? Are they making their own chips? If you're a miner and you're not, are you at a disadvantage? I don't know. I don't know anything about it, and it's very complicated. And if you're making that type of investment, I think that you best be well researched. But Bitcoin, whether it's GBTC, whether it's through a vehicle like MicroStrategy, I don't know. That seems more attractive to myself. Bobby, have you cloned the resistance level for Bitcoin and moved it down? It creates a bull flag. Yeah, so exactly. Yes, this morning as we got on to the live stream, that's the first thing that I looked at and said. I said right now that you're either looking at this wedge pattern that's developing right here, right now, that Bitcoin is in, or we're looking at this parallel downward sloping channel, right? And I said both are correct, and you want to be looking at that at a place to pick up more Bitcoin should we take out that last swing low. But at the same time, all that matters is this trend line right here. For both the wedge and the parallel channel, all that matters is this trend line. So this is what I'm focused in on. Once we break out above here, we're looking at the next leg up on Bitcoin. And until then, this is just the most beautiful thing, seeing Bitcoin consolidate after that massive run up in 20-25 days of 100% on Bitcoin. So it all looks good. I know a lot of people are bearish. That's fine. I'm not. I wasn't here this day. On Twitter, everyone was very calm, cool, collected, knew what was happening, right? I talked about as we came into here, we could be rejected. That's what I gave everyone a heads up. It's exactly what happened. And then we had the clarity of the trend line. So everyone should be calm and cool, collected, and clear. And if you come into this zone over here, right, we could go lower, right? If you're saying the resistance of that channel over here, by the way, if you're saying the resistance is coming in around 27,000, we could go to 26. We could go lower. Be prepared. Here's a pretty good look. I guess like that, right? Could we come down over here to 25,000? We have that little bit of support over there, strongest support over here at 24. All of that's possible, but that's a big, big drawdown over there. That's a 39% drawdown, So it's possible, even more so, 43%. You have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. But that's bullish if it does. And how long till we recover from there? We also looked at that. It could be, once we start the recovery portion, it could be very quick. Let me go put that in there like that. It could be very quick. A matter of days. A matter of days is all it's going to take. So, good luck. Thanks for bringing that up, Bobby. Appreciate that. As I said, the entry on Bitcoin is between 24 and 27K. This is where it may be. I don't have a crystal ball, so I have no idea. I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, I have pretty close to a crystal ball. I would say that I've been pretty dead accurate on all these moves on Bitcoin for a long time. But from what happens here, it's impossible to tell at this moment. Let me finish what's going on in FX. Let me look at what's going on over here with the Euro Australian dollar, which we should see. So this is interesting. This is really interesting. We've broken out of that little bit of a descending wedge triangle, that downward sloping channel, coming in for a retest right now. You could see that the New Zealand dollar is much stronger right now against the euro than the Australian dollar. Anyway, just an observation, nothing actionable. Just trying to keep myself in the flow. What about on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen? Again, not too much happening. I'm watching these trend lines over here. A break above, just so everyone understands what I'm looking at over here. A break above is going to start opening up a new upside potential over here. I'll be attracted to that, but right now you're into resistance. You're having trouble breaking above it, but consolidating. It's not attractive. Australian dollar, US dollar this was, if I had been watching this, this is something that everyone in Conquering the Markets should really have been aware of over here. Breakout retest, right? Resumption off. Came in for another retest. That line of support held during London, resuming off. That's a good place to take a look. But the question you need to ask yourself, do you want to be involved in a US dollar pair right now as the DXY continues to trade sideways and consolidate? But rejected by the resistance this morning, that could open up and move down to test that that yearly low over here on the DXY. We'll be waiting and watching. Not much of an edge. And not across FX, I have to say, it's not really that exciting right now. But yesterday I blew it off entirely because there was nothing going on. I want to make sure to put in the work today. Which is why going over all of these pairs today, I want to make sure to continue to keep myself sharp. I feel like I need to back off a little bit when it comes to the cryptocurrency. Let it consolidate. Let the next move be a little clearer of what's going to happen. Let's review that real quick. You can see over here breaking down lower against that little bit of local support we drew in, right? What type of pullback could we see, or when does the resumption, or what's next on Ethereum US dollar? I don't know. I don't see it right now. Ethereum Bitcoin looks a little bit clearer to me. You have this trend line over here developing. Let me come down to a 2-hour time frame. You can see that trend line developing, and it's very clear. A breakout above that, especially off a test of that support, that's a clear signal. That's a good looking trade. That's something that I'm interested in, right? And that will be the next leg up. If it happens, if we get an entry, if we break outside of that trend line, that would be the third place that we've looked at taking positions on Ethereum Bitcoin. What else? What other pair is possibly offering any type of insight? So I see this across all Bitcoin pairs. I like it. It's very healthy. I'm seeing these trend lines, consolidations, and these trend lines setting up possible next legs up. Same thing on DOT. You can see it across the board. Is that the perfect line? I'm going to move that like that. Let me make these a little bit darker so I could see them. This is where I believe the most opportunity is right now on the Bitcoin crosses. Let's check out Chainlink Bitcoin. Let me see that resistance really quick with you all and just see what I have going on there and why it's there. It's not such a clear line. I think I must have put it in because of that touch. Then that support makes a lot of sense to me. Let's come back to the 8-hour real quick. Get a look. That it's being rejected by that resistance. You see how I'm struggling to make the case for it? When I see myself doing that, I just move aside. You can't force something, right? But I see as the rest of the markets, the rest of the Bitcoin altcoin markets are setting up, I see that trend line as well. There it is, but really, Ethereum Bitcoin looks a lot cleaner. Dot Bitcoin looks a lot cleaner. What about Cardano? I see the same trend line across the markets. I like the unity. They all look good. That's where the opportunity is. What's going on with Litecoin? Seems to track Bitcoin pretty closely over here. If Bitcoin makes the move, Litecoin will probably be the first altcoin participating. Is Bitcoin going to make the move, or will it be Ethereum? That's a question you need to ask yourself. I don't have the answer to that. who's going to make the next leg up? Is it going to be first Ethereum or Bitcoin? When Bitcoin does, expect Litecoin to follow along that trail. You can see the same pattern developing on Litecoin as we see on Bitcoin. Let me come back to that 8-hour time frame. You can see you have the wedge pattern, right? And then you have that downward sloping channel also developing on Litecoin. So that's not too attractive at all right now. That's it. That's a pretty clean, good look at the markets. 49 minutes to get a strong overview of what's going on, which allows me to open it up to see what's going on with all of you. Yesterday we had a long session. It was almost 2 hours. Some people enjoyed that longer session, especially getting into the Ask Me Anything portion of it. But I have a clean feel for the markets. Let's see what's going on with you. Bobby, get ready for 10K breakout, blah, blah, blah. So Bobby's got some pretty good awareness though right now. When I was talking about what's going on over here and how we're so early on this cycle and how it's beautiful seeing. Here, I'm looking for this chart right over here. How many days after the last all-time high was taken out. And you can see that this Bitcoin bull market cycle is really just getting started. And Bitcoin is trading at $30,000, right? Whatever you're targeting, and you don't need to target a number, right? You could use the amount of days where we are, how many more days to the halving. We're going to be looking to doing our best to get out at the top of this bull market cycle here together when that occurs. But whatever it is, look, Bitcoin, I believe right now is trading at $30,000, well under wherever it'll be during the next halving. Sorry, the bear market halving. What am I talking about? Wherever it'll be during the low of the next bear market during the accumulation stage, about 15 months to the next halving, wherever that will be, whatever price will be, I think that we are much lower than that right now. And I do think come March or April, we'll know exactly where that price will be. We'll be able to say, look, right now, we're about 15 months after the halving. That's about where we put in that low. That's what we're looking for over here. And we'll know, we'll have a good idea where that bear market low will be. Would that help us figure out what the price peak will be during the bull market phase? It'll give us an idea. We'll try to work it out. But anyway, I digress. Bobby, I agree with you. Now's the time over here. Do you wait, though? Do you wait for Bitcoin to break out this trend line over here? Or are you looking to accumulate more? If you're looking to accumulate, do you hold tight until you break outside of that trend line, getting that hybrid probability trade, that the extension to new all-time highs is probably going to work out? Or do you wait to see if we take out that last swing low over here, come into this area around 27,000 and look to pick up Bitcoin over there? If you're playing it from a longer term time perspective, 30,000 Bitcoin at this place at the cycle, after pulling back 30%, it seems like a no-brainer. You don't have to try to time it perfectly, right? You don't have, look, I would never tell anyone to take out a loan against Bitcoin or to trade it on margin or leverage without knowing exactly what they're doing, right? But is this the time right now? I myself did take out 2 BlockFi loans. The first one at 13,000, right? I caught a lot of flack for that. I knew it. I understood what I was doing, the risks. And then another one at 18,000 or 19,000 in that area over there after we recovered from that drawdown over there. I was looking for a bigger drawdown. After I saw that the market was not doing that, I took out another loan. Is now a time to do another one? Or is it even needed, right? Everyone should have been well positioned, perfectly positioned and fully positioned from the breakout over here. Right over here, everyone should have been fully positioned. Breakout at 10,000 as the bull market began. By 19,000, I said, and I tweeted, I'm now fully positioned and more, right? So you should be riding and holding comfortable. Here's your 30% pullback. Are you adding here? It's still early in the cycle. Questions that I could just look at the chart and work it out with you, but you have to make your own decisions and you have to understand the decisions you're making, and that's that. 50K Bitcoin looks cheap. I agree. 2 hours. What else are we looking at over here? So is Samuel, it's risky. It's risky for this reason. It's a great question. you know? So right now, by the way, the first thing that I did, you remember, just let me talk about strategy 3 is taking profits on the way up after Bitcoin has at about 150% gain, 170% gain off the last drawdown low, right? So the last drawdown low over here when Bitcoin went down to 16,200, right? Do you remember all of a sudden I said my eyes are on 40,000? And that's where we ended up, 40,000, right? So now over here, as we pull back 30% again, right? You take 150% off of 29, 30,000, and where does that give you? What number? Let me just go ahead and really work that out really quick. 29,000 plus 150%, and that puts us around 72,000 Bitcoin. I think I prefer or like, just so you're all aware, Will's line over here, looking at our price targets using the log scale, and he's got over there right around 72,000. Same, you can see the line over here where the dot was at 65,000, 72,000. That's going to put us into some resistance. That's where I expect once we make the breakout, when we get the breakout of this trend line and the next leg up starts, that's kind of what we're targeting. Should you take profit there? That's where it gets tricky. Right now, MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, is putting on a corporate conference, and they're basically giving the blueprint, the playbook on how those public corporations could go ahead and get Bitcoin as a reserve on their balance sheet, right? We're going to start seeing quarterly reports soon. I'm interested to see over the last few months how many corporations bought Bitcoin. Did Square accumulate more Bitcoin down cheaper, right? All those things are going to be coming out over the next couple of months, and I'm interested in that. As Bitcoin's trading at $72,000, do you feel the need to take profit? Or are you much more comfortable hanging out and waiting for those drawdowns to accumulate more? Strategy number 2, and making sure above all that you're following strategy number 1 and riding out the entire bull market phase, not letting this golden opportunity get away from you. Because at the end of the day, at the end of 2021, everyone that's here together, working together, needs to be able to say that I was able to go ahead and ride that bull of all bulls and get out right on time. And then we could prepare again to do that, as time's appropriate in the upcoming next cycle after that. That's how you accumulate Bitcoin. You can't accumulate Bitcoin if you're taking risks, just trading altcoins and without a rhyme or reason or understanding what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to wind up losing money, and a lot of people wind up losing money during this bull market phase. My whole plan over here, my whole goal is to help as many people that are interested be able to put together not just like a large trading account, but generational wealth that could be passed down to the next generation. And that takes time, that takes skill, that takes work, and that takes planning. So you want to make sure that you're following strategy number 1 above all. Strategy number 2, adding on those 30% pullbacks. That's a great play. Do you need to get into strategy number 3 and taking profits? It's a little bit tricky. And if we start resembling more of the first cycle, where we start shooting straight up, right? We could go vertical. I said to you, we were not going vertical. Over here, I said we're not going vertical. And I put out a video saying we could go vertical. And if we do, then expect bigger than a 30% drawdown. But instead, what happened, we pulled back 30%. All great and healthy. So great question. Jordan, you said you will exit Bitcoin at the top. For me, I only own less than a half of Bitcoin. That's a lot of Bitcoin. That's good. Should I exit or should I hold through the next cycle? So listen, I'm not going to, you have to, I'm not a tax advisor or professional, and I know that my taxes are complicated enough that the last thing I ever want to be doing is talking about other people and their taxes. Should you be holding something right now past this cycle in order to pay in order to not pay taxes? The question is, should you continue holding for the next cycle, right? Let's just simplify the question down. I just want to come over to here with you really quick. For me, it's clear, and you could do the math yourself. You know, if you have a half a Bitcoin, let's say Bitcoin goes to $250,000 or $300,000, right? Let's use $300,000. Let's say that's worth $150,000 to you. If you sell at the top over here, you know, cash out $150,000, where you put it? Do you put it into a stable coin collecting at 8.5% interest? Do you put it into gold? You know, what do you put it in? Do you put it into the Nasdaq? Do you put it into to some stock? You have to figure that out, right? But you're holding it outside of Bitcoin, and then you wait until we're 15 months to the next halving, to that cycle low, to after you see that capitulation that happens during the bear market, and you start accumulating back in for the next cycle and do it all over again. You have do the math, right? In March or April, I'm going to say this is probably what that low is going to be, and then you could do. Let's say it was 80,000. So now you have one Bitcoin instead of a half a Bitcoin. You ride it out to the next cycle. What's that going to be? $500,000 Bitcoin or more? I'm not even doing the math now. I'll do that later after we get this cycle peak over here, right? Does it make sense to sell your Bitcoin? In my opinion, the greatest way to increase your Bitcoin stack is going to be selling at the top and then buying the cycle low. But you need to continue to do what you're doing right now, asking those questions and figuring it out so that you understand it yourself. Good job. Yeah. So, and this, thanks, Greg. I just want to highlight that comment, right? When it's time to sell, it's sell. Same thing right now. You know, there's nothing wrong. Like I do in FX all year long. There's nothing wrong with trading altcoins and having to paying normal tax rates on it. That's fine. You know, be happy making money. You have to pay tax. Is just what happens. Nasdaq 100. You know what's going on with the Nasdaq? We saw it breaking out above this trend line over here, right? Entry this morning as it made the higher high, risk capped, right? You got to have your stop loss in. This is an opportunity over here as the Nasdaq has come in, broke above this resistance, and is now confirming it into support, especially after shaking out some people over here. So Nasdaq looks good. If you fall back into the trend line though, back below that resistance, you got to get out of the trade. Looks good though to the upside here right now. Yep, this is a great comment too, right? Is it really? And this is going back. A lot of people got so mad at me when Bitcoin was trading between 11 and 11, back in that blue box over here. When Bitcoin was trading between 10,000, maybe a little bit lower, maybe a little bit higher to 11. I said it doesn't matter. What do you care if Bitcoin's trading at 11,000 or 13,000 when we're targeting $160,000 Bitcoin? And that's a similar statement that Bobby's making right now. Does it really matter 27,000 Bitcoin or 31,000 Bitcoin? We've pulled back 30%. That's the buy zone, right? Does it really matter? Not if you know what's going on, in my opinion. That's what's interesting, and that's why you have to That's awesome. Great comment about there. Feder, you saw up 10% earlier today. Has come off a little bit. Really, the only cryptocurrency that I saw that's on my radar that was really teeing off this morning. But Mark Cuban, in the wrong way, put out a comment talking about how this is basically like the dot-com bubble in 2000. Really, it's not. That was 2017. But anyway, it's just the Bitcoin cycle. The rising tide is Bitcoin that lifts all boats. Here it is. Raoul Pal has it wrong when he talks about Metcalfe's law, and the reason that you're seeing Ethereum right here doing what it's doing is because of its network effects, as well as he said, pick any other altcoin, and it's the same exact thing. No, that's not what's happening. If Bitcoin didn't exist, none of those things would be occurring. It's the Bitcoin 4-year cycle and the adoption that takes place and the speculation that takes place around it that causes altcoins, including Ethereum, which is an altcoin. Yes, Ethereum is a protocol that has more and more network effects than any other project out there, and that warrants the position it has right under Bitcoin, right? But anyway, so oh, there it is on Theta. Well, I said, why did I get onto that? Why did I go off on that tangent over there? But if you have to understand the projects that you're investing in, if you're investing in them, right? Otherwise, just take a basket. And I showed you that bitwise, how the top 70, top 100, are expected to outperform the top 10 and Bitcoin itself. What else yeah, I've never looked at Uniswap, and that's the thing. I'm not following what's going on with all of these projects. How do I even find the ticker? I've never looked at it before. Wow. Wow, beautiful. This is something Alan has been extraordinarily helpful with inside the cryptocurrency thread. All of these projects, Alan is just absolutely a wealth of information. So happy to be working with him for all of the information that he shares. Looking over here just from at an 8-hour chart and seeing what's next, right? You're coming in over here. This was the last resumption off. You can put yourself in a trend line. Let's come down to the 2-hour. Look, there's the trend line right there. There's the breakout. It did make a new high and is consolidating again. Looks very, very healthy. This should be on my list. There you go. That's the trend line that we saw occurring this morning on Ethereum Bitcoin, on Dot Bitcoin, on Chainlink Bitcoin, and even Cardano Bitcoin. And then you could see it also now over here on Uni. So that's interesting. That's all super healthy. But you all know when to attack. You all know when to attack. 727 likes. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thanks for doing what we do every day. Yeah, my honor, my pleasure. I take I get great satisfaction from being able to do this together, work together, and to try my best to change lives, right? Could you look at the pound US dollar? Yeah, pound US dollar was coming into some resistance right now. I believe we looked at it earlier, right? Let's see. Let's get off that 2-hour, 8-hour. Yeah. So you could see that last bit of local support it touched into is coming off of, but it's coming into resistance. It's an important resistance. It's a big one. Let me come back over here. Let me just see what's going on over here left. Yeah, it's a big resistance. I think getting above this resistance after that trend line break opens up the next leg. The next leg should take us back towards 143, right? So the dollar, by the way, though, being rejected by that resistance, we have to, as we're towards this resistance, we have to keep watching. A breakout of that trend line, we have to be cautious that this current move on the dollar could be subsiding. I saw some type of chart this morning. For the first time in 3 years, investors were net long treasuries. Every other time in the past, that hasn't worked out well from them right now. But we are seeing, well, anyway, that's that. Thank you, Stefano. Thank you so much, and thank you for all of the support you give to the channel, helping us keep this really clean. Every single one of you contributing in your own way, I am absolutely grateful for you. Ooh, Gene, is that true? Gene? That is absolute fire. Wow, Gene. Gene, are you going to be there? Are you going to be at the conference? Trying to catch up a little bit of comments over there. So Jordan, maybe in the CTM group session, we can look at Bitcoin lightly leveraged on how that works with strategy and deleveraging. There it is. Gene just nailed it. That's the only thing we're going to focus in on. How about that? We're going to do that on Thursday. I'll set that up later, Gene. That's great. Let me just take a screenshot over there, right? That's beautiful. Brad, thanks for the work on every single one of you. Thank you all for contributing, each in your own way. Brad, with this beautiful chart work over here, we've been watching this for months over here. He added this trend line, by the way, off of one touch. This clone trend line off of one touch. Oh, you can't add trend lines unless you have 3 touches, not CTM. Here we go. And you can see over here that being rejected over here this morning. Beautiful horizontal resistance as well. Beautiful. Thanks, Brad. Thomas, welcome. Glad you're here and arrived to this channel, right? Glad you're here. There's a playlist on this channel, the Bitcoin playlist, Thomas. Absolute fire. It's not like I've just got into Bitcoin and started talking about Bitcoin. I had everyone positioned and understanding the full year cycle well in advance, talking about every single move that has occurred over these past several months on Bitcoin before it happened, as it's happening. Check that out. Start there, Thomas. Start there. What else are we looking at today? Anthony, I can't wait. And we could all do that together. Yeah, if you're new here, by the way, there's a couple of new people dropping in. Like, the best thing you can do is simply subscribe to the channel and start spending some time in here each and every day, watching all of the work we do together. And after a short amount of time, after a week or two, it's going to become very clear to you. This is exactly where you belong. And after a short time after that, things are going to start becoming clearer and clearer until it all adds up and you start being able to look at the charts and understand what's going on and see the matrix for yourself. So do subscribe. We looked at gold, right, earlier in the stream. It's not very exciting. Gold continues to be playing out in this giant bull flag. I'm in read-only mode. I can't stand when I do that. I lost Brad's chart. Lost it. Let me come back over here to gold over here really quick on the 3-day just to give you that little bit of oversight. It shouldn't take you more than a couple of seconds. Looking at gold right over here. Let's come back down to the 8-hour. Right? No. Let me get on the daily chart with you. Gold is in this giant bull market over here. Bull market phase. It's in this downward sloping channel. Bull flag. And this is the resistance. Once gold breaks above that, that's when gold will start running again, or should start running again, or when it's attractive for you to position yourself in case it starts running, or a pullback into that area of support. I have it circled over here. That would be a place to look into buy. But right now, you're in no man's land. You're dead center between the resistance and the support, and it's going nowhere for months. It's not really attractive right now at all. You want to go where the flow is, where the action is. Yeah, 30. I wish I could pay a 30% tax. That would be fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, so that's something that some people need to do the math on and figure out whether or not, especially if you're holding your Bitcoin inside BlockFi under an S corp or an LLC, right? And you could take out a loan, and then the interest on that loan you could write off, right? Listen, there's a lot of math, a lot of different options. It makes sense to not sell your Bitcoin in case it catches on, and there will be a small percentage of my Bitcoin, whether it's 5-7%, that I won't sell, that I'll hold just in case Bitcoin catches on, right? But does it make sense for some people to hold their Bitcoin and borrow against it, like Elon Musk has always done with his Tesla shares? He was not selling his shares. He would take out loans against his shares. Is that something that you might want to consider doing or looking into? I think so. I think you should look into it. I think that you have this time right now. And when I say this time, I'm talking about how early it is. You have the next 240 days or so to be working all of that out and doing all of that fun thought experiments. Really, really fun stuff to be considering what you're going to do as you exit Bitcoin. But just the same way we spent all the time before the halving, making sure everyone was fully positioned in for what is unfolding right now, now's the time to be thinking about the exit. And just a heads up, I will be exiting Bitcoin. Everyone's going to hate me because everyone's going to think this time is different, right? So, there it is. ML, thanks for being here. There is a flag in Bitcoin. We have, if you don't know what's going on in Bitcoin, or you're a little unsure, go back to the first 2 minutes of this live stream, and you will get the clearest analysis of Bitcoin that's possible right now. Oh, I don't know. I feel like I don't feel like I have the flow. I feel like it's a poor session. It doesn't matter. And by the way, that's why I worked through all of FX this morning, because when things aren't coming easy is when you have to work the hardest. Investing my 21 year career, full-time trading has taught me, it's all about discipline and work ethic. And on these days when it comes the hardest is when it's the most important. You all have seen me do that. You all were there, or many of you were there for that session where my line was really activated and I had brain fog, couldn't even put together a sentence. And so all I did was like, all right, I'm just going to go an extra hour longer and work through this. You really have to have that dedication to be successful at anything. You really have to have that something inside you that really wants to succeed, and you have to work when it's its hardest. That's when the most important progress is being made. And today, I really didn't feel like going through the markets like that, which is why I made sure that I get back into the flow, and I'm going to make sure that I do whatever I have to do until all of a sudden it becomes easy. It's like praying. It's like working out. The more you pray, the easier it becomes, right? The more you start on a consistent basis working out, the easier it is, the easier it becomes. So all that stuff is critically important, and just worth mentioning to all of you right now. I just talk about what's happening. That's what I do, what I'm experiencing, whatever the teaching lesson is at that particular day, at that particular moment. It's just whatever the market's showing me and whatever I'm experiencing. This is beautiful, and I know this is real. The amount of over the past 14 months, the amount of people I've seen actually change. Many people, forget the people that were new, many people that have been in the markets for several years and longer had their first profitable year in 2020 being plugged into this community. And that's all absolutely amazing. And then you see other people who are absolutely crushing it on their own, plugged into the community, doing even better. And then, of course, new people getting involved. It's all beautiful. Thank you for that. There are so many different coins, and it is hard to keep up. I don't think that, listen, when it comes to altcoins, if you're involved, if you're investing in more of like a basket, I don't know how you can do that. I don't know if you could just, probably just go, sign up with Binance or something like that. Pick, the top 20 projects you think that are really outperforming and are going to continue to outperform, and that would make sense. By the way, PS, the blow off on the altcoins, that happens as Bitcoin peaks. You're going to see like that blow off, that immense blow off top on the altcoins. That's very, 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 very brief, right? But it's going to happen. So right now, the trade of all trades remains to be Bitcoin. I've said early on, right now you see other people talking about, oh, Ethereum's going to 20,000 and Ethereum this. I've said all along that in this cycle here, in this bull market phase, I expect Ethereum to outperform Bitcoin. It's just what happens. And you're going to see altcoins outperforming Ethereum. It's just what happens. You have to ask yourself, what's the better trade, right? For me, that's always been Bitcoin lightly leveraged, because Bitcoin lightly leveraged is the same thing as playing with all these alts. And what do you want to own? Do you want to own XYR or do you want to own Bitcoin? Why do people mostly invest in altcoins to begin with? Is it to get more Bitcoin? I think so. XRP, that was one of, we had, by the way, Brandon, if you're here, if you're listening, we're talking about some of the 2020 calls. I think XRP is up there. I did my best warning everyone about what was going on over there. A lot of people didn't want to hear it. This is TradingView, tradingview.com, really awesome charting platform, free. Could you remember? Yeah, Sandra, the video's on the Bitcoin playlist, and it's called 3 Ways to Trade the Bitcoin Bull Market. It's a must watch. Absolutely great video. Definitely go look for that. Harry, yeah, what an amazing year, and also can you imagine what we've all been to through together with this virus, right? And how we've been able to come together to unite, to focus on supporting each other, building each other up, and it's been absolutely a blessing. So I'm grateful for you, Harry, and grateful for everyone. Virtual, it's a good virtual conference. Interesting, Gene. Yeah, is that a Head and Shoulders developing on the DXY? Let's check that out. Right? So the easy play is Brad's trend line. Brad, I have to get another look at that. But look, if this is a Head and Shoulders, a reverse Head and Shoulders developing, it's not what you want to look for. You do want to look for the trend line break. It's just easier. Following Brad's trend, it gets all noisy. This is a short time frame. It's not such a big pattern playing out. It could happen, and you could get a breakout, but it would take us back into that resistance. Listen, right now there's nothing else to say. I'm not going to get into it. Brad's chart that we looked at was beautiful, showing that rejection here this morning, and we're just continue to be sideways consolidating. When we have a break on the DXY, rest assured we'll be there. But I don't, and I don't purposely ever look for head and shoulder patterns. But I do look for that neckline. Yeah, we just talked about this a little while earlier regarding taxes and what, as you exit Bitcoin, you pay your taxes. Does it make more sense to exit Bitcoin, pay your taxes, and then reaccumulate back in later on, or does it make more sense for you to just maybe if you need cash? There are people who hold Bitcoin and just hold Bitcoin in cold storage, and that's what they're doing. That's fine. I think they must not understand the 4-year cycle. If you're doing that, I don't think you understand the 4-year cycle, because if you're looking to accumulate more Bitcoin, Winklevoss brothers aside, they got 1% of the supply. But if you're looking to accumulate more Bitcoin, this is the best way to accumulate more Bitcoin. It's to sell the cycle peak and then accumulate at the cycle low and do it all over again. Yeah, anytime, by the way, anytime you purchase Bitcoin with fiat, that's not a taxable event. Anytime you move Bitcoin to an altcoin or back into fiat, that's a taxable event. But listen, there are tax experts out there. There's all the information you need. You could just put it into a search engine and start figuring out whatever questions you have when it comes to taxes. That's not something that I look at charts, and I'm able to look at charts, and I'm able to really spot trends. I'm able to understand when we're seeing new trends develop, when those trends are taking place, the sweet spot of them, and when it's time to exit them. That's what I do, right? Yeah, everyone, thanks for hitting that like button. Appreciate that very much. Danielle, everyone, absolutely. Platinum, let's take a look over here at platinum. Let's take a look at copper first, right? Copper is interesting here. Look at that. Look at that. Trying to get above that trend line over here. Keep watch of that one. Good timing. All right, let's look at platinum. Platinum less so. Just consolidating here. It's all good and healthy. This is the one that I missed. The one that I missed. Right? But no, platinum just looks super healthy, but copper looks really good technically over here. What about the commodity index over here? Fuzzy. Yeah, not really that interesting. What's GameStop doing now? Is it going to do anything? Just go sideways from here? I don't know. It's really not exciting. It was exciting if you were smart enough to see what was going on and you were leading the way. Heath did a good video on this, talking about how those that got in before the institutions. It's exciting to see retail crushing Wall Street again, but yeah, not my cup of tea. Great job, Brad, for sure. Nickel, it's just not exciting. Also, right? Getting above this trend line over here, that could open up a new leg. Resuming off of there could open up an entry on nickel for sure. And then, let's zoom out over here. we have to go ahead if we are going to do it now. I'm going to clone this line right here, right now, and I'm going to put the next bit of resistance that we're going to be tracking as we get ready here for a possible new leg up. Let me go ahead and do that. So where is that really playing out? I guess it's not off these tops. I have to make two. Just give me one more second, please. All right. So if we resume off of here, as it looks like we're getting ready to possibly do right now, regain this line of resistance, resuming off of it here, that would have us targeting somewhere in this area, right around here. What's that number? Let me bring that down. Right around, if I extend this trend line, right around 1432. So nickel looking pretty bullish over here, looking to take out that next level of resistance and hopefully keep going. What else on the downside? What do you watch for? If we're rejected over here and take out that trend line, that could send up a bigger correction on nickel. Yeah, so it's hard to make the exciting case. Long-term investment, commodity index is 2021 going to be the year of the great commodity bull run? Will it have anything? Will it compare anything compared to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? Right? Obviously not. Nevertheless, we're looking at inflation all around us. We're looking at a continued trend over here as they continue to go ahead and debase the currencies, and we're seeing it beginning possibly to show signs of running away from us. We'll watch it. Thank you, Alan. Thanks for Alan again. Thanks to everyone who adds in their own unique way. Alan really helps providing some really, really good content on Twitter. Obviously, always in the comments here as well. Great follow on Twitter, Alan AU. Thank you. Forgive my pronunciation, but thank you for that comment. That really just made my morning. Thank you. Dave, that's funny. Beyond Meat? Jimmy, there's a lot of craziness out there. The one piece of advice that anyone's listening that I have to say is that you have to listen to those who have a history of being correct. There were those out there that called the housing crash, right? Back in 2006, starting in 2006, really taking place in 2007. And then afterwards, everyone became an expert, right? Same thing that's happening on Bitcoin, right? As Bitcoin's breaking out to 20,000, now you're seeing all these YouTubers that were like real estate YouTubers are experts on Bitcoin, and they're talking about like all these like different, they don't even understand Bitcoin, right? And then you have people with inside the industry, the crypto industry, and how many of them even understand the 4-year cycle? If you find someone that's talking about the 4-year cycle, definitely listen to what they're saying. They know what they're talking about, you know? But consult those who have a history of being correct. I'm surprised we almost made it with very few viewers in here to 1,000 likes. That's not even important. To have 900 likes with 1,400 viewers in here today is absolute fire. Grateful for that. Thank you, everyone. Beyond Meat, this feels like December of 2019 when Beyond Meat was in play. Oh, wow, look at that. I really don't know what to make of it. You know, it's not my thing. A chart like this, I can't stand stocks because of the gaps. Like, if you're coming into the resistance, what do? The break of the resistance is a gap up. That's what is that? A 20% gap? What do you know? A 30% gap? So not attractive to me. Not a good market. Yeah, we've discussed Ether as nausea in depth at the beginning of the session, starting with Bitcoin, then getting into Ethereum over here. Yeah. Let me look at the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. I noticed this morning in looking at the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, I noticed this. I noticed this V shape that was developing over here. Right? Let me zoom out. What are we looking at over here? Is there any support levels? I have the support level down over here. Seem to be in a bit of no man's land right now with a lot of noise, right? So right now, is that an uptrend or a downtrend? You know, it's a downtrend, right? So downtrend, what do? You're looking to sell resistance. The closest resistance I have is up here. So pull back into that resistance, look for a resumption off. That would open up the next trade, but you're in no man's land right now. You're in no man's land right now, right? There should be a resistance up here. Let me draw that in up there as well. GME is a war zone. Let me just take another quick look at it, see what's going on over there. Let me look over here on the 15-minute chart just to see what's going on. Yeah. Millennials, mad respect to the millennials. Millennials crushed Tesla in 2020. Millennials crushing Ethereum and Bitcoin. Millennials crushing it all over the place. Robinhood buying the dips, understanding the Fed was printing money, and understanding that meant it was time for them to buy. Mad respect. Mad respect. That's beautiful. I'm so grateful for this community. I'm also doing this for my son and his future. It didn't happen for me, but I'm changing that pattern right now. And that's the mindset you need to have. That's the mindset that really thinking about, you know, everyone's looking to actually like put together any trade today that's going to go ahead and make the money, and not doing this in a thoughtful, methodical process in which it needs to be done, right? And that just means when it's time to wait, which it's a lot of waiting, that you wait. You have to do your work every day until something's clear. On Bitcoin right now, it's clear in two ways though. It's clear as, well, this is your 30% dip. Everyone knows during the bull market phase, that's one of the safest times to lean in and buy. The problem is everyone's buying on the way up, and then they run out of powder, and then as it comes back down, they're stuck. And then what's also very clear is a break of this trend line. That's when, okay, next leg resuming upwards. Very, very clear. What's clear on Bitcoin is also this chart over here. Was also this chart over here that we looked at a couple of times today. It's so early right now in this bull phase over here. It's ridiculous. And we're towards, look at price going vertical. Look at this. Look at price going vertical. Here we are. We just had a 30% pullback. That's what's clear. You know, GameStop, is that clear? That's straight gambling, right? Nice to see those hedge funds, the smart money, needed to get bailed out there with $2.75 billion. Why were they not invested in Bitcoin? Really? Why were they not invested in Bitcoin? Why are they short GameStop? Think about it. So anyway, it's just what we do. We just make sure that we take care of each other. We work together to make sure that we're able to navigate these markets as best we can together, and do our best to go ahead. And we're not just looking, we are looking to put together generational wealth. And if you're looking to put together generational wealth and you're starting with half a Bitcoin right now, as we talked about earlier, do you want to sell during the cycle top and then reaccumulate back in, right? And then go ahead, maybe be holding a full Bitcoin or more, right? For that next bull run. Is Bitcoin going to $1 million? Is Bitcoin going to stop at $1 million? How many more cycles will that take? You know, anyway. Thanks, Hank. That's beautiful. By the way, anytime, there are a large portion of the community that is just quiet observers. And every once in a while, they'll say something like this, like, Hank, it means the world to me. Thank you. All right, everyone. Beautiful, beautiful session. Gene, I loved what you talked about, setting the tone for the Conquering the Market training session this week. That's what we're going to do. Thanks for that. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. We're going to go out here with some music. Thank you for everything. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. May God bless you. I'll see you all tomorrow. If there's anything going on later today, I'll absolutely put together a nice afternoon update. Otherwise, I'll see you all in the morning. Have a beautiful day, and thank you.